Welcome back to Video Waste Double Feature.
Welcome back to Video Waste's Double Feature, where we compare two movies with something tying them together, whether it be plot, director, actors, whatever the case is, and we see who wins. This week we're doing Lethal Weapon and 48 Hours. Buddy cop movies, essentially.
Thought it was.
Yeah,
I thought it was a buddy cop movies.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So,
48 Hours.
Yes.
You have a criminal.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
And you have a cop.
Yes.
Nick Nolte. And they need to find the bad guys.
Yes.
And the only way to find the bad guys is if the cop works with the criminal.
Yes.
Okay, we did Lethal.
It's a solid plot for a movie.
Yeah. Lethal Weapon. We have two cops. One is retiring, the other's crazy, and they have to find the bad guys because drug deal and Vietnam. That's what we're fucking working with, people.
Yeah, and we chose these fucking movies.
I thought it was two buddy cop movies.
That's what the idea was let's pick two buddy cop movies.
Plot-wise, both movies have a similar plot.
Yes.
Which plot in these movies, which one achieved the plot better?
I mean, so they both achieved their plots or their goal for the movie well. I think that 48 Hours did it in a more interesting way, putting the convict with the cop and forcing them to work together and even become friends at the end, kind of deal. I wrote down 48 Hours as a reluctant partnership, and Lethal Weapon is more of a hesitant partnership because Danny Glover's, Murtaugh is like, I don't really want to work with Riggs, but he's not like, oh no, screw that, I'm not going to work with this guy, So,
I know in Lethal Weapon, we have a lot of that, like, you're a loose cannon, I can't work with this guy and stuff. And then after he jumps off a building with a magical, crash mat at the bottom of the building that we didn't see as an audience.
Of course.
He pulls him into that, little sound area. And
furniture store.
Yeah. And he pulls him in there. And he swings the door shut, and the door goes, off the hinges.
Broke it.
And then he, proceeds to just yell nonsense at him, where it's just like, yeah, we've had this conversation 3 or 4 times. You would have died. You would have died. And he's just screaming at him, and then Mel Gibson has to be like, I'm crazy. And then he's got the gun to his head, and he's like, you really are gonna kill yourself, aren't you? Or no, you're not a Section 8 or whatever.
Because the whole thing was, everybody couldn't decide if Mel Gibson was actually crazy, if Riggs was actually crazy, or he was just trying to get the crazy person pension.
No.
Where he's too crazy to work, but it's because of work that he's crazy, so he gets paid for it.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that you distinguish the character from the actor, because Mel Gibson really is fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's fucking crazy as shit.
Real life.
And, it was funny when I was watching the movie and they've got Riggs all hung up like that. I was like, that's the second time that Mel Gibson's been hung up in a movie.
Yeah, it's just he loves the torture.
Yeah.
Just do it.
That wasn't even fake. That was fucking all real.
Do it. But
all right.
Okay, so we have the plots taken care of and stuff. Okay, let's go to action, because these are cop movies, and the cop movies always have a similar style of action.
Yeah. The action in Lethal Weapon was way more than I remembered it being.
I'll give it that, yeah.
I hadn't seen these movies in a long time.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember there being that much, I didn't remember the torture part. I didn't remember how many people were getting shot throughout the movie.
Yeah. There's one.
Tom Atkins gets gunned down. The guy at the drug house gets gunned down. They're just shooting people left and right. it I don't know. I just didn't remember all that action. I remembered basically the entire movie of 48 Hours. Not like the details, not the racism and shit.
Yeah.
But like I remembered, okay, he gets him, then they go find Luther, then they go find Big Bear or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Billy Bear.
Yeah.
And then
which is funny because it's Billy from
Predator.
Predator, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I remember the moves in that movie. Lethal Weapon. I thought that this was the one where he was going to get blown up on the toilet. Like
that's part 2, I think.
Yeah. They all run together.
That's
for me.
I think the big problem is that with Lethal Weapon, it kind of blends together.
Yeah.
You know,
because I was like, "Where's the part where he's like banging that chick, and then like his whole entire like little trailer gets shot up?"
Yeah.
That's also number 2. I remember number 2 pretty well.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was just number 1. I don't know.
Yeah. Isn't there like no? Forget the one where they're comparing scars.
That's Jaws. Stop bringing up Jaws.
Is it Jaws? I thought they did that in part 2, where she's a cop. And Mel Gibson is a cop.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's like, Vietnam War and stuff. And
I don't know why you keep giving him an Australian accent.
From Australia.
But he doesn't speak with an accent. Riggs doesn't have an accent. He's a
You can hear it a little bit.
American.
Yeah. No, you can hear it a little bit. I guess when he got, like, famous over here, he's like, yeah, fuck Australian accents. Just freedom!
Are you sure he's Australian?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? I don't care enough to argue.
You ever seen fucking Mad Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Australian.
But is it because he's supposed to have an Australian accent and he's
from
not
Australia.
Australian? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
3 days ago, I saw a rig that would hold that tanker. That's all I know from the first movie, because I would do that shit all the time. 3 days ago. And then by the second Thunderdome,
we're going to end up scrapping this entire video.
His fucking accent was gone.
I'm sure it was. He was already planning on being racist and trying to threaten his wife and make a Jesus movie.
Yeah. Yeah, the action in Lethal Weapon, you got the house explosion that looked really fucking nice.
Yeah.
Whereas in 48 Hours, it was sparingly. There were a couple of good fist fights and gun shootouts, but there wasn't nothing that really sticks out.
Yeah, there was, I mean, for the most part, like you mentioned, most of the action in 48 Hours is shootouts.
Yeah.
And like chasing
your classic cop stuff.
Yeah, but again, the action in 48 Hours was just way more than I remember. It kind of took me. Yeah, sorry. Lethal Weapon. It kind of took me for a surprise. I was like, I didn't remember all this. So I definitely enjoyed both movies, but the action I feel like was maybe because it was surprising at how much there was. But I definitely got to lean towards Lethal Weapon on that one.
Yeah, especially when he has a grenade. He's got a live grenade. It's like, he's like, we all gonna die here and stuff. And it's like, that grenade is gonna like blow your hand off, and that's about it. That grenade's not gonna.
He still had the pin closed. Once he lets go of that, then it's active.
Well, I mean, just like, he was thinking like, all I got to do is let this grenade go, and then this whole like area is gonna be like nuclear fallout.
It would have done some work. It would have probably killed most of them, but
all I can think of is like Sunny, where they like throw a grenade in the car.
That's super not a real grenade. They were like the things that dud, and it just goes.
I don't know. That's what I think of in a car. Like, man, they are completely inaccurate in movies.
I threw a grenade one time.
Yeah?
Yeah, out in Madison County. Thanks, Chris. And he was like, want to throw a grenade? I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just pull the pin and throw it. And he like hands me one. He had like a box of grenades. And I was like, I don't think you're supposed to have these. He was like, they're expired. And I was like, so they blow up? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right, fuck it. Throw it. Boom.
Was it
a lot bigger than you think it's going to be. It's like unsettling how big it actually is. Obviously not the biggest of explosions, but still like I was very worried that the cops were coming after that. But yeah. So, anyways,
now
let's talk about the jazz in Lethal Weapon.
Oh man, sex jazz.
That fucking
every second.
Yeah, dude. I was laughing by the end of the movie at how much sex jazz there was in this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, somebody is trying to get laid on this soundtrack. Like,
yeah, I feel that it was a missed opportunity. What they should have done is had the saxophonist follow him around.
that would have
greatest
been
movie ever. Greatest movie ever. Fucking saxophonist just like in Birdman where he's running and all of a sudden you see the drummer.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't we see the saxophonist? You know.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Like just like hidden. Like just in the scene, like, oh, he's across the street in that scene. Oh, he's over there and whatnot. He's in the pool, you know. Yeah, there was tons of sex jazz, but
so much.
Let's talk about Eddie Murphy, because I think Eddie Murphy, like, miscast. Would you say that Eddie Murphy was miscast?
No, I don't think he was miscast because, especially at that time, there was nobody else that could have done this job. Richard Pryor wouldn't have been able to pull this role off.
No. Unless Gene Wilder was the Nick Nolte.
And it was a completely serious movie.
And one was blind and one was deaf, right?
that would have been a different movie altogether.
That would have been a great movie, though.
But no, I think that they chose him properly.
Yeah.
I do know that in the beginning when Nolte first gets Eddie Murphy out of jail and he's like grabbing him by the back of the neck and shit, I was like, dude, I don't care how much they were paying me. If somebody manhandled me like that, I'd fucking beat their ass on this damn set. Like,
unless Eddie was like, do this, man. That's what they did to me once. You know?
This is what happens every time a white cop pulls me over.
But I think out of all four characters that we have, Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy, Mel Gibson,
yes,
Danny Glover.
Yes.
Okay. I think Eddie Murphy is the one that shines the most.
Yeah.
Because he's so fresh. Like, he feels like he's excited to be in this movie. And, like, he does have a couple of these great lines.
Oh, yeah.
Where the one guy, the bad guy from The Crow, is running out. And he opens the door, and I forget his name, and he's just like,
Luther.
Hey, Luther, you missed that one, didn't you? Or something. And
oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, really, really enjoyed Eddie Murphy's performance.
Yeah.
Especially when we get to the redneck bar.
Can you hear that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay, if I stop talking, I can cut all this out and not because I know the burp's coming. Just like but let's talk about Eddie Murphy and the redneck bar, because I think it's a great scene.
I don't know if they wrote that or improvised that or it was a combination of both, but that was movie gold.
Yeah.
Like, where he's like, hey, I hope y'all know I love doing this shit. like that. Oh, man. It was just such a good scene. It was so well written.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. I rewound it and watched it again. I just backed it up and I was like, yes, one more time.
Yeah. If you don't have 48 hours, try to look it up on YouTube because the bar scene's got to be on there.
Yeah.
And just him taking his frustration out on these crackers and stuff is so funny.
He's fucking honky. He goes into like a country bar, and basically makes a bet with Nolte that like he doesn't need a gun. He can like maintain dominance in this situation without
just
it.
A badge.
And if he completes this without it breaking out into a full scale brawl and he doesn't die, he gets 30 minutes to go get some ass. So he goes in there and it was so good. Yeah. It was so good.
Especially when like he's calling out the room
Yeah.
And the one guy runs.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got warrants, mister.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a reason to run?
Yeah.
Or something.
Sit your ass down.
Yeah. It just feels like Eddie, the character, is taking, like, from real life,
Yeah.
being in a club, being in a bar,
Yeah.
and some idiot cop walks in there and just shows dominancy. That's what it felt like. Like, it was wrote like that in the script.
Yeah, I feel like they really let Eddie go to town
Yeah.
on that one.
Or it was like Charlie Murphy being like, yeah, this one time this happened or
Yeah.
something, you know.
Yeah.
But it was so great.
Yeah.
I would probably the movie's getting higher scored because of that.
Yeah. Well, that one thing that I meant we briefly mentioned earlier was the racism in this movie. That and the vulgarity in this movie, I did not remember from the last time I watched this, and it might be because of the state of the world changing. We're becoming more sensitive to like how we speak to people and the words that we choose, but the racism in this movie caught me off guard, but the vulgarity really caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Like, this is an early 80s movie. I expected them to use race play in it. I didn't expect hard R's, and I didn't expect the angry black chief to use the hard R at Eddie Murphy several times in a minute, but the vulgarity of when he's like, and it's not even vulgar, but it is. When he was talking to that girl, he was like, look, I'm trying to get some trim. And she was like, excuse me, you can't ask me no better than that? He was like, in 5 minutes, I want to be in some flesh. Like, God damn, dude. That's why we're here, is because our parents had the balls to say shit like that. Like,
I think because...
And I believe Eddie Murphy has said that in real life to women.
No, you've seen the party all the time video and stuff. Yeah, that happened. But, I was partying with Rick James. So, but, like, I watched Lethal Weapon first and then this.
Yes. Same.
Lethal Weapon, both of them, I believe, are R. Okay?
Yeah.
But Lethal Weapon kind of, like, substituted vulgar or a strong language for violence.
Yeah.
This did the opposite. They'd said, language, violence, it's in there. Yeah. This is the movie and stuff. We're not substituting for the other way around.
Right.
But by the time Lethal Weapon came out, they were like, well, let's make the dialogue a little bit more catchier and wittier, and more, poetic. And then when they do curse, it's meant for something. Whereas this sounds like real people fucking talking.
Definitely 48 Hours sounded very real.
Yes.
Lethal Weapon, the only thing I know for sure is Murtaugh is too old for this shit.
Yeah.
And even towards the end of the movie, he stopped saying shit.
Yeah.
Like, the first 4 times he said it, he was like, I'm too old for this shit. And I'm like...
Especially when he was on the bridge talking to
exactly.
on that big like cell phone and stuff. It was like he was holding a brick and then on the phone. And he's talking about Riggs, who's literally standing over there eating a corn dog or something.
Yeah.
And it was just the most hilarious. It's just like, I wanted like the camera to pan and you see Riggs back there and be like, I know you're talking about me.
I can fucking hear you. I'm right here.
I can hear you. But yeah, there was like a couple of moments where they tried to make the Mel Gibson character kind of comical, where like in the...
Well, I know the entire, like, the whole jumper scene. He was supposed to be funny in that, but I didn't find it funny. No. I didn't find it comical, but I know he was supposed to. And was that Ted from Scrubs?
What?
The jumper. Was that Ted from Scrubs?
I don't think so. I think Ted from Scrubs would have been a lot younger at this point.
It seems so right to me, but I just think it would be funny because if it is him, then he's committing suicide in everything he's ever done.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Like the one that sticks out for me is the cocaine deal at the beginning of the movie and the Christmas, and it's like, it's gonna be $100.
Yeah.
And like he's like, $100? Oh yeah. And then he starts pulling out ones and fives, and they're like, what are you doing? It's gonna be $100,000. It's like, oh, okay, I get the joke.
Yeah.
I know that Shane Black, one of the guys from Predator, was brought in to write this script, or wrote this script and stuff, and his writing style is very like he wants to be Tarantino before Tarantino was Tarantino kind of deal, where like everything has to kind of like make layers, sense. And then all of a sudden like you're like the Christmas tree thing and stuff, it's like $100. Okay, yeah, I'll give you $100. Like, no fucking drug dealer is gonna talk like that. It's gonna be $100 or $100.
Yeah.
No one's gonna. No. They're gonna have like exact change down to a T. Yeah, you know. They don't carry fucking scales for nothing.
Yeah, and you know the thing, like when you think buddy cop comedies or buddy comedies in general, you think like comedy. These were not comedies. Nothing was funny about either of these movies. I mean, that one redneck scene was hilarious, but overall the movie was not a funny movie. These were just like straight up action movies, but Eddie Murphy is a hilarious person, so naturally when he got the opportunity to do that, he made it hilarious. Outside of that, these are just straightforward action movies like Predator or any other action movie of its time. I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
So, who are you going to pick as, like, your team? Like, if you had to pick a team of guys to go solve a crime with.
If I needed, like a crime solved, who would I be?
Lethal Weapon or 48 Hours? And don't let Eddie Murphy's charm.
But I was just thinking on the merits alone, and my brain goes, technically, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover really never solved anything. They happened to
they just kept shooting
shit together.
They just kept shooting until there was nobody left to shoot, until that ridiculous fight scene at the end.
Like the only thing I'll get to
we'll get
Gary
to that.
Busey. But all I can think of is like, guys, my dog's missing, and then like, you know, when we went to the SPCA and it blew up, and then we went then we heard that there might be a dog over at the Chancellor Animal Shelter and stuff, and we had to shoot the vet, you know. It's just like, but you know, I mean, Nick Nolte and
in theory they got the job done.
It's like, it's the classic, there's a spider in my house, we'll burn the house down. There ain't no fucking spider in there now. There ain't no house either. But Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte just seem to have more charisma, in my opinion, where I enjoyed. So
that's not the thing. Okay, so your kid gets taken. Who you calling? Riggs and Murtaugh, or are you going to call Nolte and Murphy?
I'm going to still go Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy.
Okay. I'm going to go with Riggs and Murtaugh, as much as I love Eddie Murphy. Okay, now, same question, but you can pick any two as your team. So you can take Eddie Murphy and Danny Glover. You can pick any which one. You don't have to pick a specific side.
I'm going to say... I'm going to ask, like, we're talking about the actors or the characters?
The characters.
Okay, the characters. So I was going to be like, Eddie Murphy, but Nick Nolte has to sit in the car the whole time. I'm going to pay you gentlemen $100,000 to find my statue that's prized from, like, Egypt or something. It came out of the pyramids, but you have to sit in the fucking car. You know, it's just like... no, I'll say the same thing, because the characters work better. You could have done like Eddie Murphy and Donald Glover in this type of situation.
Donald,
Riggs.
There you go.
That would have been a good chemistry. It just felt like Mel Gibson.
We're not talking about movies, though. We're talking about real life situation. You need a team of detectives. Out of those 4, which 2 are you picking?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte, just because, because the criminal aspect and the.
I'm gonna go with Riggs and Eddie Murphy.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
that
they're both young. They're both like strong characters. Yeah. Like, all right,
that would have been a good movie. Like I said, had Eddie Murphy as the rookie, and
I would have still played him as the criminal, and played Riggs as the crazy guy. Like, you want to out crazy me, criminal? Watch this shit. You know,
that would have been a good movie.
All right, who would win in a fight, Gary Busey or Nick Nolte?
Gary Busey.
You think so?
Way more insane. I've seen Nick Nolte crazy, but I've seen Gary Busey, and I think before the end of the fight, like, Gary Busey will have at least eaten like 2 of his fingers, his own, not Nick Nolte's fingers. Like,
all right, that's
just sitting
fair.
there, like, preaching at him or something, and but
all right, which set of bad guys are more ruthless, the Joshua organization or Billy Bear and Raiden from
Joshua organization? You got. Oh man, there was like.
I mean, to be fair, there was a lot more of them.
Do you know how? Yeah, but do you know why
but
they
Billy
were
Bear
worse?
and Raiden were were really quick to kill people.
Yeah,
they did not give a shit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, Joshua's team lets the people, like, the first drug dealer comes in and like burns his hair on his arm or whatever. They let that guy go.
The only reason I say that is because in 48 Hours, we're always cutting back to them. Mm-hmm. We're always seeing what they're doing.
They could just be jerking off and reading books or something.
And Lethal Weapon and stuff, it's just like, they go to a place, and then there's some bad guys, and then they go to a place, and then it explodes. Shit gets done, and nobody knows about it.
That's fair. All right. All right. Obviously, you guys choose off of all of these questions. Which movie had better writing / storyline?
Writing, I'm gonna split it up. Writing, in my opinion, Lethal Weapon, because of that Shane Black style writing, where I can get it. I've seen a couple of his movies, so, but plot or just story in general, going 48 Hours. I like the 48 Hours story of, like I've said, convict and cop having to come together to solve this. He can't do it because he's in jail, but he needs the money.
Right.
Nick Nolte can't take care of it because he needs this criminal to help him lead him in the right direction.
He needs all the information.
Yeah. So
because we all, at some point through the movie, you forget that Eddie Murphy was part of that gang.
Yeah.
Like at some point during the movie, I was like, why did he choose him? Mm-hmm. Like, did he just randomly go into a jail and be like, you, come with me?
Yeah.
Like, I forgot that he was a part of the gang, and that's why he's helping. But yeah, that's all the questions I had. I just started thinking about it.
We said organization, but if you had to go between Raiden, not Raiden guy, and Gary Busey, like, who was more despicable?
Raiden. The guy just killed. Like, on a whim. He killed whoever went out. Like, he did not get... Like, from the very beginning of the movie, they both shot that cop. Then they both shot the next cop. Then the next cop. And every one of those are life sentences that they're just putting on top of themselves. And they just keep doing it. They shoot the cops in the train station. They shoot the cops. And the cops, they did not give a shit. They shot cops like it was the fun thing to do in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so those dudes are way more scary to me than... Because those guys have badges and guns. I know they don't give a fuck about me.
Yeah.
Like, I could reason with Joshua's crew. I could be like, look, guys, I can get you $1 million. Just
Gary Busey's just sitting there burning himself with a lighter and stuff,
chewing on his finger and shit. And then fucking random dude from every martial arts movie is like shocking him just like on the dick so he can get hard.
Just every 80s movie.
Yeah.
Is Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie?
You know, when it starts and that Christmas music starts, I went, shit. So this is also a Christmas movie. I gotta put that around. Like, now, which one's better, Die Hard or this? And
Die Hard.
Like, yeah, and then I was like, wait, what the fuck am I talking about? Die Hard.
Die Hard's better.
So, yes, I do believe it is a Christmas movie. It is obviously not the best Christmas movie, because that's Die Hard. But, yeah, I would still consider this a Christmas movie. You know what, the one cute thing in that, it was very John Hughesy, or Steven Spielbergy, even, maybe, at the end, where Riggs is walking back to the house, and he's like, come on, Lassie, and Lassie runs in the house, and you hear all that, like, banging around, and Murtaugh comes back out and just, like, turns the light back.
Yeah, I did notice.
Like, that's fucking like, cute.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even give a shit about what's all this. Like, Riggs is probably banging my daughter. The dog's chasing the cat. Like,
yeah, who gives a shit? Your front door is a plywood, and you have plastic up in the front.
That poor house, because he gets blown apart in the second one. I think they just have a trailer by the fifth one because it just keeps getting blown away.
No. Like, there's so much of those moments. Do you think, I don't know what came first, chicken or the egg, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon, but do you think that because Die Hard was a Christmas movie, do you think the whole Christmas aspect was wrote later?
For Lethal Weapon?
Yeah.
No, I feel like that was just...
Do you think the Christmas thing was put in there just so he can do the thing with the light?
No. But it literally, it served no purpose. Like, it was part of the plot of Die Hard, but it meant nothing to Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
But, I mean, either way, like, I think that just happened to be what time of year it was for this particular movie, and but it does, in fact, make it a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Or probably came out like it's going to be a December release, so we need to throw Christmas items. We need to throw, because if you notice, his house is the only house on like that has lights.
Block.
Yeah. When they go through places, there's no like Christmas signs. There's no Santa Claus outside.
That's very true. It could be a afterthought.
It was just like, and I love it. It looks like they're in Los Angeles. When they're in the cities, and then they go to like the suburbs in Illinois,
or some shit. Yeah.
Like the best it would have been if it was snowing, and
but like, only at his house.
Like we filmed two different ideas. But no. So anything else you really want to get in?
So they're both cop, and we're back. So they're both cop movies, but they're two different. It almost seemed like there were two different worlds of cops.
Yeah. Early 80s and late 80s, I would say.
Well, but not only that, like, so you've got Murtaugh and Riggs that don't really check in at the police station, and, you see a couple scenes in the police station.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a office building. Like, it's pretty quiet. It's like... there's a phone ringing here and there, but then you go to 48 Hours, and there's 700 people in a 2 square foot room with 700 phones going off, papers. You just hear
dark. Yeah, it's
this
dark
the whole
in there.
time, and it's like, and I could have sworn that the desk buddy was the bad guy in 48 Hours.
Yeah.
He must be the bad guy in another movie, because I looked at him and I was like, oh yeah, it's him. He's with them, and then I was like, no, he's not.
No,
he just looks like a child molester.
Yeah,
okay, that's cool.
He's
like, just a bad guy. All right, cool. Whatever.
Or in the one thing in Lethal Weapon I will say that I got tired of is how many like callbacks to Vietnam. Unless it was like had to do something with the time that it was released. But that's in Vietnam. I went to Da Nang and some of these like doing Tai Chi or judo.
Well, that was the whole thing, cause that was like the main story point was that organization, Joshua's organization, came out of Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like, they were a mercenary group in Vietnam. Riggs was a special soldier.
Yeah.
In
Forces.
Special forces. There we go. He was a special GI Joe in Vietnam. Like, they had heard of each other, like, not Joshua, but the upper guy that had no name and didn't even matter. Because Joshua was clear, Gary Busey's character was clearly the bad guy.
And then they were like, well, we need to tack on this guy. Or, I owe this guy a favor. So he's going to show up in a couple scenes and then he's seem official, but it's really going to be Gary Busey that's going to be our bad guy. Kind of like when we did Commando.
Yeah.
Like the main bad guy.
Yeah, died before the second in command.
Yeah, when Bennett went, he was the bad guy. He was really the bad guy and stuff. So that's becoming, maybe that's another influence with Commando kind of deal. Where it's like, oh, this is the bad guy. No, it's not. This is the bad guy.
Oh, and so 2 more things about 48 Hours. One, the hilarious comment after all is said and done and Eddie Murphy goes and bangs that chick from the club. He comes out and he's like, how was it? He's like, I've been in jail for 3 years. Like, I did great. They should bronze my dick. I was like, that's a fucking great one-liner. And also, just real quick, a PSA. San Francisco seems to have a really bad fog machine problem where there's just fog machines everywhere going off all the time. We need to give charity. We need to send money to San Francisco to cut down on all the fog machine.
We were going to put in traffic lights, but instead we put fog machines.
Dude, everywhere they went, there was fog everywhere. And it's just clearly like, huh?
It's like San Francisco's foggy, so they probably couldn't film in San Francisco.
It was like every back alley was full of steam.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
That was the thing to do, in the 80s, was to throw a bunch of fog to make it look menacing or some shit. Yeah. So.
They didn't have enough jazz either.
Yeah. I'm like, the sex jazz thing is kind of like iconic.
I'm going to find that. No, you can edit this one because I still have Croaters and Gremlins to do. Yeah.
There's a parody movie, Loaded Weapon.
Yeah.
And they make, issues of that. But it's the same, sex jazz, tone.
Yeah, of course.
They never change it and stuff. Sometimes it changes from scene to scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one never changes, and it's hilarious.
I just want that CD. One song, jazz, 15 seconds, and it just keeps repeating.
Or I can't even, I'm not even going to do justice, but.
Alright, so let's star these movies and pick an ultimate winner.
Okay. Both of them I'm going to put at 3.5 star.
That's fair.
It's not the ultimate buddy cop movie. Beverly Hills Cop 3. I mean, 3.
Don't you ever do
Beverly
that.
Hills Cop 3. No, Beverly Hills Cop. Or, the ultimate buddy cop movie, Samurai Cop.
Fuck you. You would have to say that it's Beverly Hills Cop 2. Because in part 1, for the most part, he's working alone while the other 2 are trying to stop him. And then in part 2, all 3 of them are working together.
Yeah, but that's what's great about it and stuff. Wouldn't that be great if it, Riggs and Murdoch were just sitting there trying to, beat each other, basically, and stuff? Now I'm going to solve this heroin case.
I feel like that's been a thing as well.
I don't know, man. But yeah, and Samurai Cop, I would probably be the best because you can't deny Samurai Cop. No. It's so fucking loud.
You can't hear it, but there's a sound machine over here.
Yeah, turn that shit down. It's I thought you unplugged it and it was static. Stop.
All right. Anyway, so 3.5 on both of those.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you give it?
Man, that just sounds so right to me.
Yeah.
I was
They're
really
good.
trying to think. I was like, they're not 4-star movies. They're
No.
not 5-star movies, but they're not 3. So 3.5 sounds about right.
It's like if 3's the middle.
Yeah.
And just give it a half because it was like, okay, I didn't hate it the whole time.
And neither of these movies are nostalgic to me.
No.
Like, Beverly Hills Cop, absolutely.
Yeah.
This one, not so much. So, yeah, 3.5 all the way around. But
Ultimate?
that does set an issue for picking the ultimate winner.
Since we've been talking, I've been kind of juggling that idea back and forth.
Yeah, I'm having a real hard time
Where
with
I
this.
did enjoy 48 Hours.
Yes.
I enjoyed Eddie Murphy's comment, but it's just like, it's Lethal Weapon. It's that movie that we've all known and stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to put a tie on this one too.
No.
Yeah.
You can't. No tie.
All right, no tie.
There has to be a winner.
Okay.
I know, it's hard. I'm gonna go Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Lethal Weapon too.
All right. Well, you let us know what you decide, whether it be Lethal Weapon or 48 Hours, and tell us the reasons why. And tell us if you don't agree that Lethal Weapon is in fact a Christmas movie. Yeah, so that's all there is. I'm just gonna start over.
Fucking cut that shit out.
Yeah, so let us know what you think, and if you have any recommendations on movies that you want to put together and see us put head to head, then let us know, and we'll see you next time.